This NFL Week 7 Player Props edition of the Propcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog has just added Pick'em Scorchers where you can win 100x. That's right, turn $5 into 500 in one game. Plus, every Sunday, they're giving away 100,000. Use promo code SGPN at Underdog Fantasy for a 100% deposit bonus of up to $500. We're also brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use promo code CFBX for $20 off of your first purchase. We're also brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting research platform for player props, parlays, and game lines. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit HOFBets.com and use promo code SGPN to get 50% off your first month and start making smarter bets today. And we're giving away $3,000 in our NFL Second Chance Survivor Contest presented by Corey Pinkston and Barking Dog Properties. The contest starts this weekend and it's free to enter. Just go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/survivor. Welcome everyone to the Propcast, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. It is Friday, October the 20th, currently 11:07 on the East Coast. Here to get into our NFL Week 7 Sunday games player props. And I got my guys here with me. First, it's a motorsports king himself. It's Rod Villagomez. Rod, how's it going, my friend?
I've got my coffee ready. We are early morning here on the West Coast. So what better way to start the day than by talking Week 7? I can't think of a better way to start. Well, maybe if I stayed in bed a little longer. Never mind. I'm good. Let's go. I'm ready.
Hey, yeah, it's either you get some extra sleep or you get up, enjoy your coffee, and take a back seat and just talk some NFL player props. I prefer the latter. No, I might have to revisit that statement, but we shall see. I also got the hardest working man in the sports betting industry as well. We're ramping it up, not only in full swing of NFL, but for the NBA as well. It's my main man, Chris. Chris, how's it going, my friend?
What's up? What's up, Rod? Rod said it's a little early on the West Coast. It's 11 o'clock on the East Coast, but it does still feel like it's a little early, maybe because the sun just not shining as bright. But needless to say, nevertheless, we're here. And Week 7 is looking pretty promising. Hopefully, a lot promising than Thursday Night Football. We were talking a little bit before the show, and man, if I could just get to Kamara to stay under for that last drive, then we have a profitable day or two on one day. But instead, we go 1-2. And we see the Saints defense just not really show up. 31 points is what they gave up at home to a Jacksonville offense that had been struggling. 14 in the first quarter. So McManus doesn't need to kick a field goal. And, I thought he had plenty of opportunities. But, I think maybe Trevor Lawrence pulled the wool over our eyes just a tad bit by being listed as questionable all throughout the week. And then, he looks like, the MVP of the league yesterday. Yeah, like just running around, scrambling, throwing, running. But I digress. Let's move forward into Week 7. Hopefully we can finish with a profitable week.
Yeah, no, I think as a team yesterday, we did overall really well. I know I had a really good night, swept the my player props, and 2 of the 3 touchdown props got there for me as well. I think, Rod, you hit 2 out of 3 at your player props as well, correct?
Yeah, so thankful to Foya Aluakin, who, by the way, I was listening to the radio broadcast of that dude could not pronounce Aluakin. I'm like, come on, man. You have one job. And
you should have called in and be like, I have a player prop on this guy. You need to get it correct.
I want to hear his name, and I did. He got 11 tackles on the day, so that cashed that one. Of course, Chris and I both on the Derek Carr throwing an interception train, and what a glorious way for that interception to be thrown too, a pick 6. I liked seeing that.
By your guy.
Yeah. So by my guy, by Aluakin. So
yeah,
definitely a good day there. I can't remember the only one I missed. I blocking it out of my memory, but yeah, it was the only one that I missed on the night, and other than the Shaheed touchdown, but. That's a little bit sad.
I think it was just the Kamara to get 20 yards.
First, yeah. And ETN had the chance, and Kamara had nothing going on. All of a sudden, he breaks that run, and that was what took him over. It's like, damn it.
It's okay. We can't win them all. Thursday nights, I know we started off really bad that week 1 where we went combined 0 of 9, but I think we've been doing really well since then. And I know Sundays has been really good for us as well. So let's just dive right into it, gentlemen. NFL Week 7 for the Sunday games. Rod, why don't you lead us off, my friend?
I'm picking on bad defenses this week. That is the theme of Week 7 for me, picking on bad defenses. And there is almost no worse defense in the league against the pass and the Chargers. And I will be and they're facing Patrick Mahomes of all people. So you look at what the Chargers are allowing per game this season, 289 passing yards per game, all over the place. So against Mahomes, that's deadly. I mean, Mahomes has not necessarily been like super 400-yard guy all season long, but he definitely has had some good games over this 278-yard mark, including the last two, right? 306 against Denver last week, which is a terrible defense in and of itself as well. So we know Mahomes can exploit bad pass defenses. 281 against Minnesota. He had 305 against Jacksonville. So those are his 3 games over this mark, but he did have 272 against the Bears, which is close. I mean, we'll give it to him there. 8 more yards. He could have gotten it against him. You look at what quarterbacks have done against the Chargers. Tua lit him up for 466 yards. Ryan Tannehill, 246, but that's the shell of Ryan Tannehill. I don't know that we're expecting 278 yards out of him anymore, especially when you have Derrick Henry, which lately has not been a plus. Kirk Cousins, 367. Even Aiden O'Connell had 238. I know it's not 278, but when you're talking 238 yards to a guy who we barely knew how to pronounce his name, and then Dak Prescott, 272 last week. Mahomes against the Chargers in his career, 2 out of the last 3 have gone over this mark. 329 the last time they met, 410 2 times before that with a 235 sandwich in between there, and then 3 out of the last 5. So 302 yards in 2020 he threw for. So pretty good track record of getting at least 279 yards against this Chargers team. And this Chargers team, like we said, has been atrocious against the pass this season. And were it not for O'Connell and Tannehill skewing the curve, I think they'd be even worse. So give me Patrick Mahomes over 278 passing yards. You can get this at -110 on Bet365.
Yeah, I mean, the numbers don't lie, right? Like you mentioned, Chargers are giving it up to the quarterback position. And again, I have a player prop in this game as well. We'll get to here in a second here. But I mean, yeah, when I was looking at some of the worst pass defenses, Chargers were right down there with some of the other bad pass defenses. I will be fading here as well. Again, I can't talk you off of Patrick Mahomes overs, at least, just because he's that guy, right? And again, like you mentioned, against the Chargers, he's had success. I expect that to continue this week for NFL Week 7 for Mr. Patty Mahomes there. Chris, any thoughts on Patty Mahomes?
Yeah, the biggest one that stuck out to me was last week when I had Isaiah Pacheco to go over his rushing yards, and they were playing against that terrible rush defense against Denver. He still was passing the ball left and right, and I'm like, bro, just run the ball. Like, we don't need to do this. Remember, he had 30 passing attempts in the first half last week. So, I mean, yeah, he might be able to complete a no look pass or something in this one. This should be a fun one. He also just feels like he needs that stat boosting game, right? Like, we haven't seen him have that like career type 500-yard game. We also saw what's my guy name that just came back that they just traded for and got him back. Nicole Hardman. Yeah, Nicole Hardman's also back. So I think if you look for a weakness within that Kansas City offense, it is the ability to catch the ball. We saw them really struggle in the game with Kelsey not playing, and we've seen drop passes. So kind of re-upping them, and then this week you get a defense that literally can't guard anybody. So you just have to be able to catch the ball, Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver. So I like it. I like it a lot. I think Rod's on the right track here.
Yeah, it seems like MVS hasn't panned out the way that the Chiefs were hoping to, and they're just kind of putting a bandage over. At some point, like, you're gonna have to either develop one of the young guys that you do have, or you're gonna have to make a splash, at the trade deadline or in the off season. But I mean, when you have Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce still out there, obviously you're always gonna have a chance to not only win games but also win rings in the National Football League. Chris, take us over to your first player prop, man. What do you got?
So the theme, I want to keep Rod's theme of picking on bad defenses, but I'll skip the first one. I'm actually going to take a guy that might be a contrarian look, and I'm taking this over against a pretty good defense, and that's going to be Desmond Ridder. I like his passing yards to go over this week. See the number right now, it's about 208 on most sports books, and not a lot of juice at all. It's probably -110, -115-ish type range. But I'm evaluating the game, and this was a game that I actually like to handicap to try to take a side on as well. But I look at the Bucs defense, their top 10 in pretty much every rush defensive statistical category. And we know how good Bijan has been for this team. And they got a pretty good rushing attack. But I do think they'll struggle on the road, specifically with being able to run the ball. You look at this Bucs defense, top 10 in opponent rush percentage. So teams aren't really rushing the ball against them at all. Rushing yards per game, rushing yards per attempt. So I think they turned Ridder into a passer. Of course, I wanted to take his pass attempts over because, that's my play. But the number is not available yet. But I went back and looked at Ridder. He's thrown for at least 210 yards in back-to-back games. Of course, those were in Atlanta where quarterbacks are going to feel a little bit more comfortable at home. And, of course, he's in a dome. But also in 3 of his 5 games as well. You look at the Bucs. They've allowed at least 210 passing yards in 3 straight games and 4 to 5 games that they played in this season. So it seems like a buy low spot for me here. The Bucs are allowing 247 yards per game, which ranks 26 in the league. So that that's only 6 teams are allowing more yards, and opponents are passing 65% of the time, which is the 4th most as well. So for me, it feels like Ridder's going to have to continue to throw the ball. And if they're going to have any success here, so I think he should be able to give me 210 passing yards. I took the over at 208.5.
Yeah, I think for Desmond Ridder, I think we talked about this last week as well. Like, it seems like the playbook has either opened up or he's just gotten more comfortable in the Arthur Smith system, right? And again, like you mentioned, just game script wise, they're gonna have to throw the football because you mentioned Tampa Bay continues to be a top tier rush defense, right? You laid out the numbers there, so I think that's only going to have to enable Desmond Ridder and the offense to find success through the air. But back-to-back weeks, he's put up 300-plus passing yards. I know they were trailing in those games, and again, it's possibly that they're probably trailing in this game here as well. But I do expect Ridder to be in that realm of 32, 34, 35 pass attempts. He's had back-to-back weeks of 28 completions exactly. So I think like he's getting a little bit more comfortable. And, case in point as well, last season, he did face this Tampa team where he did go 19 of 30, 224 passing yards in that game, 2 touchdowns as well. So hopefully he can carry that momentum from the last 2 weeks and get over his passing yards here for Desmond Ridder. Rod, any thoughts on Desmond Ridder?
208 is such a low number for a quarterback, and I get it that so a lot of times these guys don't hit that mark because they don't have to throw that much. But I think for Desmond Ridder, he's got the talent around him. He needs and he's been able to find it lately. So I think maybe you're right. And honestly, how long can Tampa keep this up? I mean, it feels like they're a team that is surprising too many people, and I'm wondering when the shoe's going to drop, when the other shoe's going to drop, because I don't know that they can keep this up much longer.
Yeah, I mean, did you take a look last week? Jared Goff had a lot of success throwing the football against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 30 of 44, 353 passing yards in that game, 2 touchdowns, no interception. So not asking Desmond Ridder to duplicate that. We're asking him to be, 2/3 of the way better of what Jared Goff did there last week. So, yeah, definitely can get behind this for sure. All right, guys, before I give out my first player prop here for NFL Week 7, let me tell you about a couple of contests that are going on over on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. First, the SGPN Second Chance Survivor Contest. If you've already been knocked out of your NFL Survivor, don't worry. We at SGPN here got you covered with the SGPN Second Chance Survivor Contest presented by Corey Pinkston and Barking Dog Properties. $3,000 up for grabs. Winner takes all. Starts this weekend, so sign up now. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/survivor. Again, that's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/survivor. And also the NFL Gambling Podcast is running a review contest. Leave an Apple Podcast review with your favorite touchdown-related bet for this weekend, and the biggest winner with the longest odds wins a $50 SGPN gift card. So make sure to include your YouTube username, and also make sure to include those odds in those podcast reviews so we know if you are the winner and have the longest odds as well. So we can also contact you if you are the winner. So again, leave an Apple Podcast review with your favorite touchdown score, including the odds and your YouTube username, because when you win, we want to make sure we can contact you. And also, we're brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy has a way to play alongside your favorite football team all season long. Underdog has just introduced Scorchers. Go 5 for 5 and pick 'em Scorchers and enjoy a spicy 100x payout. And for a limited time, Underdog is extending their first deposit bonus of up to $500. $100,000 Sundays continues on Underdog Fantasy. 10 lucky players will win $10K each. So watch along, make your picks, and maybe make a little cash over on Underdog's mobile app or website, underdogfantasy.com. And when you sign up with promo code SGPN, Underdog will double your first deposit up to $500. Again, that's Underdog Fantasy using promo code SGPN. All right, guys, let me get over to my first player prop for NFL Week 7. I am going to go back to that Chiefs game that Rod was talking about earlier in the episode. I'm going to go to the other quarterback. I'm looking at Justin Herbert. I think I'm getting a discount here on over 1.5 passing touchdowns for Herbert in this game. This is at minus 112, currently over on FanDuel, so definitely shop around because DraftKings has this at minus 130, so you're getting about 18 cents of a discount here on this player prop. But if you take a look at the schedule of quarterbacks that the Chiefs have played this season, I think you can make the argument that Justin Herbert is possibly the best quarterback they are going to face here in NFL Week 7. Historically, Herbert's been pretty good throwing the football against the Kansas City Chiefs as well. Herbert has faced his Chiefs team 6 times in his career, and he's thrown for at least 2 touchdowns in 5 of the 6 games, including 5 straight games where he has at least 2 passing touchdowns. The only game obviously wasn't his he didn't do that was his first career start against the Chiefs in his rookie year. But also the Chiefs pass defense, they've allowed 2 of the last 3 quarterbacks they have faced to throw at least for 2 touchdowns. I believe that was the 2 Wilsons, Zach Wilson and Russell Wilson, that were able to do that against his Chiefs pass defense. I'm sorry, it was Kirk Cousins and it was Zach Wilson. So now you have Justin Herbert coming to town. The total in this game is sitting at 47.5. So I think the books are expecting to see some points. And historically, we do see points being put up in this game between these 2 teams. But I think there's a big game here for the Chargers. I do expect them to keep it close. I think it's going to have to be on the shoulders of Justin Herbert. Again, for him to throw only 2 touchdowns here when he's done it in 5 straight games in his career against the Kansas City Chiefs, I will take that every single time. So give me Justin Herbert over 1.5 passing touchdowns here, Chris.
Yep, I like it. Like you said, it's expected to be a shootout. It's crazy to think that. I know, granted, the Chiefs' their pass defense is pretty good, but it's crazy to think that you get such a deal. I was like, let me go fact check, and make sure they got this at 1.5. Like, this is expected to be a shootout. We know that Rod laid out all the stats already. Their Chargers defense is atrocious. So if Justin Herbert is not going to be able to keep him in the game and at least throw 2 passing touchdowns, this is one that, potentially you could take 3 passing touchdowns for, because I do expect this one to be a tad bit of a shootout. I went in and just checked last season specifically. I looked at the Chargers when they were road dogs, and they were averaging 22 points per game in that spot. And we know a dump off to, someone like Austin Eckler could easily get into that, realm of them being able to score as well. So I absolutely love this one. I'm probably going to tell this one.
Rod, any thoughts?
Well, you talk about shootouts, the last few matchups between these teams, Chiefs 30, Chargers 27 last year, 27-24, 34-38, 30-24, 38-21. Points get scored in this matchup. So, and a lot of them come from the arm of the quarterbacks. So I definitely like this as well.
All right, Chris, take us over to player prop number 2, my friend. What do you got?
So player prop number 2, let's go back to that theme that Rod established at the top of the show. We are picking on bad defenses. So we're going Cooper Kupp. Ta-da! 89.5 is his passing yards. It's up to 91, 92 on some books as well. So definitely shop around. But minus 115 over on Caesars right now when I looked at this morning. 4 of the 5 weeks, Pittsburgh has actually given up 90 yards to one receiver. And I see Munaf smiling like he probably got this one written down as well. But yeah, so 4 of the 5 weeks, Pittsburgh has given up 90 plus receiving yards to one receiver. You look at this Pittsburgh defense, they're allowing 245 yards per game, which is the 7th most, and allowing the 4th highest completion percentage as well. Kupp has only been back for 2 weeks. 15 receptions, which is the 4th most. 266 yards, which is also the 4th most since his return, including games of 118 yards and 144 yards. So it does feel like we're getting a bit of a discount with Kupp only being listed at 89.5. And like I said, this number is probably going to move. So might be one you want to put in a little earlier rather than later waiting for this game, because this is an evening game. Am I correct? 4:05 game.
Yeah, it's afternoon.
So
yeah.
Yeah.
Game.
So
yeah.
So definitely check on that. But yeah, that's the play. Give me
I'm
Cup.
only laughing. Yeah. And it seems like he didn't miss like the first 4 weeks of the regular season. Like it seems like he just picked up right where he left off. 118 yards, 48 you said, and long completions or long reception of 39 and 49. But I was looking at his longest reception for this week against the Steelers. That's at, I think I saw it's 26 and a half. And that's probably one of the higher ones of all the wide receivers this week. But that was one I was looking at here as well. I think Stephon Diggs is the only one that has 26 and a half as well. But I mean, you couldn't pay me money to take an under with Cooper Kupp. So I'm definitely not fading this. I'm in 100% agreement with you about Cooper Kupp here, Chris. Rod, any thoughts on the Cooper Kupp?
I feel like they were just padding his stats while he was injured. They just kept giving like that, but no, that's how good Cooper Kupp is. And as a 49ers fan who has watched him tear apart his team time after time again, I can vouch for that. And you're right. I mean, when Puka Nacua can put up Cooper Kupp numbers, then Cooper Kupp can put up Cooper Kupp numbers. So I'm with you on this one.
100%. All right, before we get over to Rod's second player prop here, let me tell everyone about Game Time. It's that time of the year where we have, I guess we could say the perfect storm where all these sports are colliding. We have NASCAR that's winding down. Golf season, I believe, is ramping up for the new season. NBA starts next week. MLB playoffs are going on. And obviously with NBA starting next week and NFL and college football all going on, you probably want to get out to one of these sporting events and you don't know where to look. Well, let Game Time help you out, because buying tickets to your favorite events shouldn't have to be stressful. Game Time is a fast and easy way to buy tickets for all sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. With killer deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee, you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for the fun you're going to have. Some of the great things about their app that I love, they have great flash deals, last-minute tickets, like I mentioned. They're easy to find and buy tickets for every kind of event in your area. It just doesn't have to be sports. If there's a comedy show in your area, if there's a theater show in your area you want to go check out, they also have that on the Game Time app. But the best thing I love about their app is that when you go in to buy tickets for a specific event and venue, you actually get the image of your seat view before you purchase the tickets, because you don't want any surprises when you get to that venue, and nothing, any surprises of any obstructions in your viewing area from your seat. So also their lowest prices guaranteed, event cancellation protection as well. Like I mentioned, forget planning months in advance. Get excited for the fun you're going to have. With Game Time, they have exclusive flash deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and much more. And also, the Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. That's how confident they are in their prices. So buy tickets in a matter of seconds, 2 taps, and you're all set to go. And the tickets are sent directly to your phone. You don't have to haggle through the mailbox waiting for them to come in, or you don't have to go searching into your email box. Nope. They're sent directly to your phone right there on the app, and you don't have to stress about it. So to make it easy, download the Game Time app, create an account, and make sure to use promo code CFBX for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code CFBX for $20 off. Download Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. And we're also brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets. Win bigger by betting smarter this NFL season with Hall of Fame Bets, a sports betting analytics platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Research every NFL, NBA, MLB, and soccer bet with historical stats and data. Enter any parlay idea into Hall of Fame Bet's revolutionary parlay optimizer tool to get hit rates broken down by leg, as well as an expected probability for the entire parlay. Sort all players by hit rate for any bet to learn which players are hot and which picks have value. Stop betting in the dark and join over 30,000 users researching with Hall of Fame Bets to craft more intelligent, data-driven parlays. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit HOFBets.com and use promo code SGPN to get 50% off your first month today. Start researching, start winning with Hall of Fame Bets. All right. Rod, take us over to player prop number 2, my friend.
Well, if it pleases the court, I'm going to continue to pick on bad defenses. And listen, here's the thing, right? I can pretty much rest this case by just saying he's playing the Denver Broncos. That's Aaron Jones coming back off of his injury. His
Me
number is
too, Rod. Me too, Rod.
yes, 51.5 for Aaron Jones, his rushing yards. Oh my God, please give me the over on this one. And I found this one at plus money on DK. Did you get that price too, Chris?
I did not, but I got him at 48.5 on
Ooh.
FanDuel. So I'll probably double down and take that one as well. I love it enough to do both.
Well, and that's the thing. So I did find it lower. It's minus 114, right? On FanDuel for that. Yeah. So I get the extra 3 yards, but if I'm getting plus money for something, I'm 3 yards. That's him getting tush pushed somewhere as well. But look at all I got to do is tell you that he's playing the Denver Broncos rush defense. 172 rushing yards per game, 139 at home. Now the away numbers are skewed because Miami's still running on this Denver Broncos defense right now. So really for 205, you can't put a whole lot of stock in that, but they're giving up 139, an average of 139 rushing yards per game at home. Who's torched them at home? Well, that was Brian Robinson Jr. got 87 against them. You look at Khalil Herbert with 103, Breece Hall with 177. I mean, Isaiah Pacheco got 62. Okay. But that was much to Chris's chagrin. But I'm telling you right now, for this defense to give up that many yards, and even at home, it's not even as if they're doing it on the road as well. But yeah, Denver's just a bad rush defense. And I know that for Aaron Rodgers' sake, or Aaron Jones's sake, he did play with Aaron Rodgers though. He hasn't had a game over this mark yet, but granted, he has been eased back into this, right? 41 yards against the Bears, not bad. 18 yards though last week. Everyone's going to be like, oh, you can't get 52 against the Broncos. Detroit has the best rush defense in the league right now. They are giving up the fewest yards per game to opposing running backs. So that's a tough test for a guy coming back off of an injury. So I definitely think this is a good spot for Aaron Jones. Obviously Chris thinks so as well. And I think he's going to get at least 52, if not 60, 70. I don't know how high you want to ladder this, but 90. Chris, you should find 90. See where alternate rushing yards 90 is, because that could be where our better play is. That's a big plus money for that.
Chris, you also have this one. You want to expand on anything else that Rod mentioned?
Yeah, so first and foremost, what Rod just mentioned, those alt lines probably haven't come out yet just because the game's so far away. But they probably will be. Oh, you do have it? You know what is it?
So we could go 70 plus 2-1, 80 plus 320, 90 plus 5-1, and 100 yards is plus 750.
100 yards might be too much with AJ.
I like the 70 at 2-1. I think that's a good.
I like the 70 at 2-1 as well. You know, and it's for a lot of the reasons that Rod mentioned. Rod kind of talked about how bad this defense is, so I won't mention that part. But I also listened to I followed that beat writer, and they interview Aaron Jones after yesterday's practice, and he said this is the best that he's felt in a while. Right, so we got to remember the Packers actually had a bye week last week as well, and he hasn't played in the game since September the 28th. So we're talking about a fresh running back. Like, he's going to be super fresh. And his team is going to be fresh because he didn't play, before the bye. So he's going to be fresh. They're going to be fresh. And it's kind of telling that the number is 48.5 or 51.5, what Rod said, and he hasn't rushed for that many. So the books are already telling us, that he's probably in for, a bit of a big day. So I love the report. I love the numbers. Everything kind of makes sense. And I think that, if you're Jordan Love, this takes a lot of stress off you being able to just hand that ball off to Aaron Jones, who is the best offensive player that they have on the team. So I love it. And I'm probably going to end up taking the alt number. Where did you find that alt number at,
It's on DraftKings.
On DraftKings. Okay. Yeah, I probably will end up taking the alt number. Okay.
Yeah, I think, again, when you guys talk about this Denver Broncos defense, I mean, their pass defense is, I don't say equally as worse, but they're right down there as far as how bad the defense is. And just tells you, because they're not, why they aren't winning very many football games is because of that defense. But also you take a look at their receiving yards that they're giving up to the running back position as well. I mean, that number is there as well, right? Last week we saw against the Chiefs, Isaiah Pacheco, 36 receiving yards. Breece Hall had 17. Michael Carter had 14. The Bears, Khalil Herbert had 19. So I think there might be an opportunity as well for Aaron Jones as also out of the backfield catching passes, because we've seen him do it all throughout his career when he was with Aaron Rodgers was the starting quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. So I think this is going to be, again, you guys mentioned it. I think the only concern that I was going to bring up is how healthy is Aaron Jones. But Chris, I mean, absolutely nailed it, with the beat writer reporting that Aaron Jones has said himself that this is the greatest he's felt in a very long time. And again, like you mentioned, coming off of the bye week, he feels fresh, not a lot of tread on the tires for Aaron Jones this week. This season as well, especially coming off the bye week. So I would, if you're a DFS player, I would definitely put him in your lineup this week at that running back position. I'm curious to see what his receiving yards is before I get to my next player prop here, because I think that might be something that intrigues me as well. That's at 20.5 for Aaron Jones. So I think that might be something I get on as well. All right. So Rod and Chris agreeing on Aaron Jones. I'll go over to my next player prop here, and I will go. Let's go over to the game between two NFC West teams. The Arizona Cardinals. They're visiting the Seattle Seahawks in week 7. Back to Kenneth Walker again. So you take a look at this Arizona Cardinals rush defense, right? They come into this game ranked well below league average. So they're allowing opposing teams to rush for 133 yards per game, which ranks number 24th. The Cardinals also ranked number 25 in opponent yards per rush attempt, and opposing teams are averaging close to 30 rush attempts per game. Last season, 2 matchups against the Cardinals, Kenneth Walker rushed for a total of 206 yards in those games and went well over this projection of 71.5 in both of those games. Lastly, the Cardinals have allowed an opposing running back to go over this projection in 4 straight games. I expect Walker to have another big week here for the rushing attack of the Seattle Seahawks. And just to put it into perspective, those 4 running backs that the Cardinals have faced over the last 4 weeks: Tony Pollard, week 3, 23 carries, 122 yards. Let's see here. Let me go to the San Francisco 49ers. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey, 20 attempts, 106 yards in that game. We go to the Bengals, 25 attempts, 81 yards. And then last week, Kyren Williams, before he did get injured, 20 attempts, 158 yards. So I think this might be an opportunity. We talked about Aaron Jones, maybe a ladder. You want to ladder Kenneth Walker up to maybe 100 rushing yards in this game as well. So I'm on Kenneth Walker here, over 71.5 rushing yards here, Rod.
And it's a divisional game too, right? I mean, the all of it gets ramped up in this situation. So you know that this is going to be a slugfest, and it always is between NFC West teams. And I think a lot of it does end up coming down to the running game. I know that these offenses are all predicated around the pass, but when it comes down to it, when you watch NFC West games, it's a lot of running. So I think Seattle is in for it as well. And Arizona, again, they're struggling all over the place. So I feel like this is a good spot for him as well.
Chris, any thoughts on Kenneth Walker?
Yeah, I mean, you laid it out perfectly. If you talked about how bad this rush defense has been, and also you talked about how good, we both won his, on his touchdown last week, and that cashed within the first 5 minutes of the game. And now I like the spot even more just because they're at home. Right, we know Arizona is the team that for me is gonna go fizzle out. Like they are not like as good as they started the season off with. They had the upset win, of course, against the Cowboys, and you kind of go back and look at for myself. If I look at the Seattle attack, right, they're running the ball just 40% of the time, which is 20th. So they're not running it a lot, but they are getting 4.2 yards a pop and 104 yards per carry, 104 yards per game. They have faced some of the stingier rush defenses as well. When you go back and they played against the Lions, they played against the Rams, they played against the Panthers, who rush defense isn't that bad. Their pass defense is a little worse. So I and the Bengals as well. So I like this spot for Kenneth Gainwell. I was writing it down because I'm probably going to tail this one as well. If I like it.
All right, so that is round 2 of our player props. Let's get into round 3 here. Rod, you want to lead us off?
Let's stay in that game. And I'm going to go on the other side of the ball. You want to talk about defenses that are allowing a lot of stuff to happen, and Seattle is actually allowing a lot of completions to be completed against them. 27.4. They lead the league in that. They're allowing the most completions per game to opposing quarterbacks. A lot of that is because they're playing pass-happy offenses, and a lot of that is because, these teams are in a shootout against each other. But I'm going to take Marquise Brown. His reception total is set at 4.5. I'll take the over on that one at -110. Really, this is all because Seattle's giving up a lot of completions per game. And for Brown, he had 3 games to start the season over this mark. Started with 6 against the Giants, 5 against Dallas, 7 against San Francisco, another NFC West opponent. Turned around with 4 against a tough-ish Bengals defense, and then 4 against the Rams on 11 targets. So, and that's another thing too. Marquise Brown is getting his fair share of targets, double-digit targets in every game except for that one against Dallas, right? 10 against Giants, 10 against San Francisco, 10 against the Bengals, 11 against the Rams. So all he's got to do is just catch one more pass in either one of those games, and he's over this mark. So you look at what receivers have done against these Seahawks, right? Tutu Atwell had 6 catches. Puka Nacua had 10. Go back to Amon-Ra St. Brown, had 6. Adam Thielen had 11. They're giving up a decent chunk of receptions to at least one player. Last week, Tyler Boyd and Jamar Chase both hit this mark. Tyler Boyd had 7. Jamar Chase had 6. So receivers are catching at least four catches or 4 passes against this defense consistently. And for Marquise Brown, again, he's one of the receivers that they look to do well, actually get stuff done on that offense. They need Marquise Brown to get stuff done, because past him, it's kind of a show. So he needs to get going, and they need to have him get going if they want to be even competitive in this game. So I think they get him the ball, and I think he catches at least a couple more of his targets to get him over this mark.
I had to go back and look at the depth chart at the wide receiver position for the Arizona Cardinals.
It's Marquise Brown,
exactly.
And then that's it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, the next guy it's Rondale Moore. I know there was some luster about Michael Wilson, but you just and you laid it out perfectly there, Rod, that over the last 3 weeks he's been in double-digit targets for the Arizona Cardinals offense. And you take a look at the total targets distribution for this team. Hollywood Brown leads by far with 53 targets. The next guy in line is 39, but it's a tight end, Zach Ertz. The next wide receiver is Rondale Moore, who has 24. So Marquise Brown, Hollywood Brown, has more than double targets than the next wide receiver in this group. So yeah, I like it. If you find that, obviously the receptions and the yardage as well, and just looking at game script as well here, I think it's a 7.5 point spread in favor of the Seattle Seahawks in this game. So at some point you see the books are expecting the Cardinals to be trailing in this game, and just going off a game script, you're probably expecting the Cardinals and Josh Dobbs to be throwing the football, and hopefully that is towards Hollywood Brown in this game here. But yeah, Chris, any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, Rod laid this one out perfectly as well. The one thing I'll mention that Rod didn't mention is that he mentioned it being shootouts. This Seattle defense is really good against the run. Like, they are allowing just 3.2 yards per carry, which where I'm looking at when I hear that. Opposing running back to go under their rush prop, even if it is a low number, give it to me, sign me up, I'll take it. So yeah, I would agree with that. And as far as Hollywood, he's my fantasy team. I didn't draft for it. I picked them. So I'm always rooting for Hollywood Brown to go over in this spot. And it seems like a good spot just because I think they'll be slinging the ball. Game script wise, if you hit it right on the head, they'll be playing from behind as well.
All right, Chris, take us to player prop number 3, man. What do you got?
So that was it for player prop number 3, because I also was with Rod on Aaron Jones to go over his rushing for me. So that is 3. I got about 10 more I can give you guys, but no, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'll go with those 3.
All right. So for my next one, I think I feel like it's maybe a buy low spot, but I'll kind of get your guys' thoughts on this here as well. And also, we were talking about the theme of bad defenses. This wide receiver is going up against a bad defense, and that's Devontae Adams. Right now, his numbers at around 68.5, 69.5 receiving yards, and we saw the reports this week of his frustration with the lack of targets and lack of involvement in the offensive game plan. We know Jimmy Garoppolo has been ruled out for this NFL Week 7 matchup against the Chicago Bears. But we take a look at the Bears' pass defense. it's right down there with the Denver Broncos, right? So the Bears are allowing about 260 passing yards per game, which ranks number 29 out of 32 teams. They're also allowing 7.7 yards per pass attempt, which ranks number 30th, and they're also dead last in let me see here. So 29th in passing yards, and then 30th in yards per pass attempt. The one I forgot is yards per completion. But if it is Aiden O'Connell or Brian Hoyer, when O'Connell played in that game against the Chargers, when Jimmy Garoppolo did not play in that game, in that fourth quarter, he was able to find Davante Adams and get him involved. But this has kind of been a theme that we've been talking about on the Monday Night Football podcast between myself and Lante, and also on the pregame show, is that we're always looking for those reports of those wide receivers complaining about their usage. And we've gone 4 for 4 over the last 4 weeks. We had AJ Brown when he was complaining about his usage with the Eagles. Jamar Chase, when he played against the Cardinals, he absolutely went off. Last week we had CeeDee Lamb, and then I forgot who the fourth wide receiver was we had. But I think this might be a spot for Davante Adams where you'll just probably see him more involved in the offense, especially going up against a Bears pass defense that's just not very good, right down there, like what I mentioned, with the Chargers and the Denver Broncos of the world. So I'll take Davante Adams over 68.5. It's a little bit of juice, but if you want to take it up to 69.5, I see that at minus 110 right now. But want to get your guys' thoughts on Davante Adams here and if he's going to be involved in this offense against the Bears here, Rod.
So that's one that I was kind of looking at as well, but I was a little bit nervous. So I'm glad you pulled the trigger on that one, because it's hard to keep him bottled up this long. I mean, he's too good of a player to not turn him loose and to not make him the focal point, even if you have to lose a game to just keep feeding him the ball to get him warmed up. I mean, I'm not saying that that's the goal. And obviously I'm not a head coach, so don't come at me like, oh my God, Rod, you know nothing about nothing. You're right. I don't. That's why I'm not a coach. But I will say that you have to figure out a way to get Davante Adams involved. And this is the perfect spot, if ever there was one, to be able to get him going. So if Jimmy Garoppolo does one thing right this week, it's to get Davante Adams back into swing.
Yeah, it'll be either Aiden O'Connell or Brian Hoyer, because Jimmy G dealing with the back issue. So I mean, I think what it would really going off of is that fourth quarter against the Chargers where Davante Adams wasn't targeted a lot in the first 3 quarters, because I remember that game had the over on his receiving yards and his receptions. Luckily for me, the receptions got there, so I juiced out a little bit there. But I feel like, again, like you mentioned, just from a matchup perspective, and he's familiar with his Bears team, right? Being with the Packers, with Aaron Rodgers for so many years. Obviously, he doesn't have Aaron Rodgers at that, at the quarterback position, but I feel like either Aiden O'Connell or Brian Hoyer should be able to find him in this game against the Bears. Chris, any thoughts on Davante Adams?
Man, I think it's gonna be Hoyer. I think it's gonna be Brian Hoyer. And if
I'm more comfortable with Hoyer.
I could be wrong, but I can't. The only question we got, is can you just throw the ball in his direction? That's really all we need with Davante, right? Yeah. Like we're not asking for a lot. It's 68.5 seems like I know it's a backup quarterback. It just seems like a hell of a discount. If I would only be able to play this one towards the over. Especially when we think about how bad that is. I mean, bro, I went back and looked at his numbers yesterday when I saw that Jimmy G wasn't going to play me enough, and I'm just like, man, he's been putrid. But if you ever want to just give anybody a glimpse of hope for your career, it would be in this game, and you have one of the best, if not the best, wide receiver in football being able to kind of bring that home. So I would only be able to look at this one. I don't think that you should hesitate too much, because this is one of those ones where you think long, you think wrong. Perfect scenario for Davante on super low number.
Yeah, and in the 2 road games this season, like I mentioned, against the Chargers, 8 receptions, 13 targets, 75 yards, and then against Buffalo, 6 receptions, 8 targets, 84 yards. But also the one thing that does stick out about Davante Adams is that he gets the long receptions as well. Curious to see what that number is, because we might be, getting a discount on that as well. The books RF caught up on that. That one's at 24.5 for his longest reception. But I think I'm going to play the 68.5 for sure, and possibly maybe ladder it up to 100. I didn't see the ladder out yet for Davante Adams, but I think this might be an opportunity for him. Again, not very happy with his role in the offense right now with the Las Vegas Raiders. And whether it is Hoyer, whether it's O'Connell, I think that they'll make it a point of emphasis for them to get the football to Devontae Adams. All right, guys. So that is 3 player props each from each of us. Let's get into our touchdown scores for this week. Rod, you want to lead us off?
All right, well, let's go back to that Packers game. I am going to go with Romeo Doubs, anytime touchdown at plus 225. Denver is allowing the most touchdowns per game this season at 3.8 touchdowns per game. Touchdowns are going to be scored, and Romeo Doubs is due. He hasn't scored in a couple of weeks. He only has 3 touchdowns on the season. 2 of those came in the game against the Bears. So I think he's due. With Aaron Jones back now, that definitely does kind of free up the receivers to maybe have a better game, because now there is I know A.J. Dillon's a good solid running back, but this is Aaron Jones. This is the guy that the running game is built around. So they're gonna respect the run a little bit more, which kind of gives Doubs a little more freedom to run around and do what he's got to do. And for Romeo, he only had 1 catch for 4 yards against the Raiders. That's got to change. And I think he gets in the end zone this week because, like I said, Denver's defense is horrible at giving up touchdowns to anybody, let alone receivers.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Again, I mean, would you be shocked if we saw even Aaron Jones score 2 touchdowns in this game? I mean, yeah, I mean, just how bad, like we talked about at volumes, how bad this defense is for the Denver Broncos. I was trying to quickly put together a same game parlay for Aaron Jones just for kicks and giggles. I'll try to do that while Chris gives his touchdown prop bets here.
Yeah, so you mentioned one of them, Aaron Jones. I don't know how we not go to him. I mean, the guy telling me he's feeling the best he's felt and hasn't played in a while, and you get to play against the Denver defense. Oh man, sign me up. Maybe 2 of them bad boys, like you said. So I like Aaron Jones a lot. I'm actually going to try to find a number on 2 for Aaron Jones, because I do think
6-1.
6-1 on 2 for Aaron Jones. I'm gonna write that down. I'm probably gonna end up playing that just because I do expect him to be healthy, and I kind of think that the way Green Bay's kind of been losing, right? We saw them lose against the Raiders. You kind of want to take the ball out of Jordan Love's hands, I think, just a tad bit, because he is a little inaccurate. So I think you see a heavy dose of run game. So give me Aaron Jones, absolutely. I'll take him at 2 to score twice at plus 600. I also like Keenan Allen. You mentioned, I'm pretty sure you probably got something on him, but yeah. I like Keenan Allen a lot. You mentioned, Justin Herbert and that offense having to be able to put up points, because that they're going to give up points with the defense that they have. So I see Keenan Allen at plus 155 is the best odds right now available on DraftKings. I like him a lot. And then the other guy, I'm not going to shy away from him. I know I took his yards over. Mr. Cooper Kupp, man, it could just be 1 catch and we have a touchdown. So those are the 3 guys I like. 2 wide receivers and 1 running back this week.
Yeah, I like it. I was on Keenan Allen as well. Again, a target monster, right? And anytime you get anything above plus 150, I do see a plus 155 only on DK, like you mentioned there, Chris, for him to find the end zone, plus 155. I like that. Cooper Kupp is also at plus money at plus 110. So I think that's maybe a nice parlay you could put together. I know Kenneth Walker's at minus 185, but I do think that he finds the end zone twice this week. I think it'll be heavy doses of Kenneth Walker, whether, like I said, I like his yardage. If you want to look at his rush attempts to go over as well. But for him to find the end zone twice, I would not be shocked if that happened as well. That was pretty much it. There was nothing that really stuck out to me this week. I know we're not talking about Monday Night Football, but I think this might just be a huge Brandon Ayuk game, plus 150, if you want to get down on that. We'll see if Debo plays. I think indications are Christian McCaffrey will end up playing in this game, but maybe no Debo. But we'll see. I know it's only not until Monday night, but yeah, those were some of the ones that I did like for this week. All right, gentlemen. Let's close it out with best bets for NFL Week 7 player props. Rod, you want to lead us off?
I mean, it was already going to be before Chris backed me up on this one, but it's Aaron Jones over 51.5 rushing yards. That's about the lock of locks that I can give, especially if you can still get it at plus money over on DraftKings before the public hammers this down.
Love it. Chris, best bet.
Yeah, I won't. I'll do a different one. Just because Rod already used that one. But let's go. Let's go Cup. Like I said, I'm high on Cup for a third straight week, and it's not just because it's Cooper Cup, but it's also because it's a poor defense, and he the relationship between him and Stafford kind of feel like they kind of missed each other. So they're making good love on the football field. As an analogy we could use, just kind of catching up for all that time that they weren't able to play with each other. So give me Cooper Kupp to go over his receiving yards. I think if you definitely could ladder this one up to 100 if you want, 120, 125 if you want. It's just really going to be dependent upon how much Pittsburgh's going to be able to stay in this game. We know that they've really struggled to score, specifically on the road.
Yeah, I agree. All right, for my best bet, I will go with Justin Herbert over 1.5 passing touchdowns. I mean, we mentioned that historically, or at least since Justin Herbert has took over as the quarterback of the Chargers, the games typically do turn into shootouts a little bit. Right now, the total is sitting at 47.5, where you do expect points to be had in this game. And like I mentioned, in 5 straight career games against the Chiefs, Justin Herbert has threw for at least 2 passing touchdowns against the Chiefs. So I think expect that to continue. Goes right into what Chris mentioned as well for Keenan Allen to score a touchdown this week. So hopefully that comes into fruition as well. So that would be one right there. And again, I definitely think that he will be able to find a second passing touchdown in this game. And again, like we mentioned, the Chiefs' rush defense has been pretty stellar as well. So I do expect Justin Herbert to be throwing the football and hopefully finding his guys in the end zone for 2 passing touchdowns. Currently at -112 over on FanDuel. So definitely shop around because there are some heavily big ones on that, for at least for Justin Herbert, for at least 2 passing touchdowns in this game. All right, that is going to do it for this NFL Week 7 Player Props edition. Hopefully, we can carry our momentum from the Thursday Night Football game into Sunday here, but I really like some of the ones that we laid out here. Hopefully, we can find some winners here. Did dig up that same game parlay. Aaron Jones, I did 70+ rushing yards and 2 touchdowns, 13-1 for him to do that. So, not too bad there for Aaron Jones. But Rod, anything else we want to mention, my friend, before we get out of here?
No, sir. Just looking forward to another exciting week of NFL. And then, of course, I'll be knee deep in F1 as they're in Texas. Buddy, they're in your home state right now, in Austin, doing their F1 thing. And yeah, just having some fun with motorsports and football. Not enough TVs in the world for a weekend of sports, my friends.
Oh, it's never enough. Never enough, my friend. Chris, anything else?
Man, Rod I need to put that on a shirt. Not enough TVs in the world. I got a lot of TVs in my house, and it's still never enough with MLB going on. And I'm not even a NASCAR guy like Rod is, so I can only imagine what he's having to go through. Luckily, and kind of unfortunately, we saw the WNBA come to an end, but it's still playoff baseball going on. We know basketball start next week, so definitely tune in. It's a great time to for the new people who are just kind of coming around to SGPN. Definitely subscribe. Check out the pods. There's so many great guys doing great shows on all the great sports that we have, available to us. So definitely do that. Hopefully everybody enjoys the week. It's a profitable week. We're not just putting in these bets to just put them in. We're trying to make some money, and hopefully we cash some tickets. Definitely check me out. All my work over on X or Twitter at Crispy Cap and 2 P's 2 N's. I just finished up the NBA season team preview. So went through all 30 teams in the NBA and kind of, gave my projections of what I'll be looking for as far as those teams. So, that's all I got, Munaf. Best of luck to everybody this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, like Chris mentioned, hopefully we do put some more money in your guys' pockets for the Sunday games for NFL Week 7. Again, like I mentioned, 2 contests happening on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. The Second Chance Survivor Contest. Sign up before Week 7 on Sunday kicks off. It's free to enter. It's $3,000 up for grabs for the winner. Winner takes all. And then also the reviews contest we have going for the NFL Gambling Podcast. Just do us a favor, leave us a Apple Podcast review. Leave your your touchdown prop bets, including your odds and your username on YouTube. And if you are the winner, we can contact you to get you that gift card. And also leaving us a review. Hopefully it's a 5-star review that you do leave us. We'll be back next Thursday for the Propcast, and then myself and Chris will be there early next week for the NBA as the season kicks off on Tuesday. If you haven't gotten a chance, check out our season-long player props for the NBA do so, because I think we found some pretty good winners, including some long shots in there. We gave out 100-1 bet in there as well. All right, we'll talk to you guys next Sunday. Till then, good luck with your bets. Let's break these books off and let it ride.